Yo, what's up? It's your boy Marwin, Food Fidelity. Today I'm bringing you a smothered pork neck bones recipe. It's a classic dish, old school, the kind your grandmother used to make back in the hood back in the day. But I'm gonna add my own twist, elevate some of the flavors, some of the seasonings, show you how to use apple cider, Worcestershire sauce, and different seasonings to elevate this dish, to make it more intense on the flavor tip, and just give you some different vibes updated for, current times. When I was growing up, pork neck bones were a big thing. I know we talk a lot about oxtail now. That's just out there. It's iconic. Everybody's talking about oxtail dishes. But, we had oxtail back in the day, but really it was about neck bones. Beef neck bones, pork neck bones, turkey necks. That was the vibe. And my Uncle Buck was the master at making neck bones. That was one of his favorite dishes. We'd make up a batch, just stew it in a pot. And then afterwards, because it was hot in Texas, even in the wintertime, we would sit on the porch with a plate of neck bones, just vibing, him telling me, some of the stories from back in the day, reminiscing about the good old days. And so all of that over a place of neck bones. So follow me, check out the dish, check out the video throughout. You'll see like some of the tips that I add to intensify the flavor, but also make the texture proper, and just have a great dish. Prep work for these bad boys is light, but kind of strategic. The work is actually in slicing the vegetables, or aromatics if you want to call them that, thinly versus dicing them up. Slices take less time and knife skills, but there's also an advantage here to slicing. Slices provide more surface area, so when you cook them, those oils release quicker and flavor infuses the fat early in the process. This is actually perfect for when you want to build a really powerful, nice flavor base. Perfect for long cooks like these or like this. Those thin cuts also break down almost completely and become a part of the sauce or gravy. That's why Big Mama puts sliced onions as opposed to diced onions in those greens, because they melt into that potluck and become one. The finish on the gravy at the end is going to be flush with all those flavors that end up with it. The gravy is actually in harmony with the tender neck bones. If you want more of a crunch to your dish, then you dice the onions and add a little bit later. My rule of thumb is anything cooking over 45 minutes, you slice them. You don't get this in those fancy cookbooks. I'm giving you birthday spit to me directly from Big Mama. We season these, and I keep it pretty simple. Salt, pepper, paprika, and allspice. That's kind of like my all-purpose season that I go with. Allspice has a little Caribbean vibe to it. It's also kind of got a unique, kind of earthy flavor vibe to it. So I just kind of like to kind of change things up, make the dish more interesting. But that's it. You want to season these really, really good on all sides before you go to the next step, which is all about getting that sear. You really want to sear these properly. And by searing, I mean you're cooking a little bit on high heat, and you're browning all sides of the neck bones. Now there's some bone here, so you're not going to get it as much as you were doing like a steak, but you want to brown these pretty well. And the reason why you want to get this a good sear, the reason it becomes really important is because those proteins and sugars in the meat react to that heat, actually creating new flavors. And this is your only opportunity to kind of take advantage of that. Plus, all those brown pieces at the bottom of the pan that accumulate, we call that the fond, a concentrated flavor that add to the gravy. So you want to have the heat up pretty high. You want to get a nice brown, nice sear on those. So the seasoning residuals are going to be in the bottom of that pan with the fat that you're cooking in. And that's just going to be another flavor bomb. All of that stuff is just kind of concentrated flavor at the bottom of the pan. And so we're going to go to an additional step after we kind of brown them on all sides, where we're going to actually like deglaze the pan and pick up those brown bits that spawn out of the pan, lift that flavor up. That's going to be a part of the foundational piece of the flavor base, if you will. So I got a nice, sear on them. I can take them out. You can see some of the fat that's been released in the pan, along with that fond I've been talking about. And then I'm going to start to saute my vegetables and my aromatics in that released fat, in that fond, and we're just going to continue to build flavor as we go. So, hey, You gotta stir it, you gotta stir it, you gotta stir it like coffee. But it's really important, right? We're building flavor as we go at every level. We're gonna season at every step. So I got onions, I got some fresh leeks, which is kind of a variety of onions, but a slightly different profile. Want to have a little bit of contrast in flavors. I got a bunch of bell peppers. They're sweeter, but I use different colors just for the visual effect. Nothing beyond that. Like I said, I'm going to keep seasoning throughout. And that's the same spice mix that I put on the pork neck bones that you see me adding here. We're glazing, and the importance of glazing, deglazing, I'm sorry. Getting back to that, right? So you're basically going to scrape the bottom of the pan with a wooden spoon that I've been mixing with once I add my deglazing liquid, right? So before I get to the deglazing, I want this to be kind of a thicker gravy type of end game. So I'm adding some flour now, almost like you're making a roux, but I'm adding the flour to the vegetables that I've been sauteing in the fat, just continuing to build flavor. Like the name of the game is to build as much flavor as you can. Plus that flour will help the gravy stick to the meat more. So this is apple cider that I'm using here as my deglazing liquid, not apple juice. Apple juice is a lot more sweeter. Apple cider is fermented, so it's a little more complex in flavor. Has some acidity, still sweet, and has that apple flavor. And so what you see me doing is like really scraping up the bottom of that pan to release all of that fond that's there. That's where the flavor's at, right? And so again, as we continue to build flavor, I'm lifting it up into the braising liquid along with all of those vegetables and that flour that you saw me cooking earlier to just create just a certain level of complexity with very few ingredients, very simple ingredients. Again, adding more of that spicy. But let's talk about that glaze though, right? You want a liquid that has some acid, some bitterness, and some sweetness. I use a combo of cider plus the Worcestershire sauce to achieve that for me. Pork and apples really go together. It's a flavor combination that's like pretty common, and so they speak basically the same flavor language. Cider has that clean finish, which keeps this braise from tasting too greasy because there's a lot of collagen that's released from those pork neck bones as they braise, and so you want to keep it a little bit light and less greasy. And there's some natural sweetness from the cider as well as like the acid that kind of helps to tenderize the meat when we add it, right? And so you got a few things going on. The cider is a tenderizer, it's adding flavor, and it's deglazing the pan. So once I kind of bring this all up to a boil, I can bring it to a simmer, cover it, put it in the oven, and just braise at about 350 degrees for a couple of hours. It's important, again, going back to that deglazing step, to like when you're going from high heat to low simmer, the deglazing acts like a bridge, to connect everything, right? So you can see after like braising this for a couple of hours, the meat is pretty darn tender. It's pulling away from the bone pretty easily. It's good to go. I like mine just like this. And so at this point, I'm going to finish my gravy. That means I'm going to take the meat out of the pan, crank the heat back up a little bit more, and reduce this sauce down even further. And basically, that's just going to concentrate all those flavors even more so in the pan you see what we're working with. And then for me, it's neck bones, rice, and gravy. Simple dish. This is kind of how I came up, as a kid, eating this with my uncle, who was a big neck bones guy, was always cooking neck bones. Slow braise, nice gravy. Serve this over some rice or maybe some mashed potatoes, whatever your thing is. For me, I definitely went with the rice, just kind of giving a nod to my uncle and how we used to do it back in the day. But you go with, kind of what works for you. The gravy, you can make it as thick or as thin as you want. To thin it out, you just reduce the cook time, or if you need to, you can always add like some chicken stock or some water to kind of thin it out to make it a more like kind of liquidy gravy. I like mine on the thicker side with all of those like thin cut vegetables, in there with the onions and the peppers and the leeks, etc. Again, just visually adding like something to the dish, but there's just so much flavor in all the stuff that's kind of accumulated into that gravy mix. And so, again, the idea is to elevate flavor. So I kind of took things a little step further, versus kind of going with your basic, water to kind of braise these in or chicken stock. So I got a combination of spices, combination of different vegetables, and then that Worcestershire sauce and the apple cider combo. Right, so I'm really satisfied with the dish. I got it just melting, it just melts in the pan. Like, right, I'm pulling it apart with my hands, and gonna dig in and enjoy this one, like I do. And that's it. So if you like the dish, leave a like or comment, hit that red subscribe button, get recipes to your inbox. So just to recap, there were a couple of different things that we talked about to help you elevate flavor. One was how you slice your vegetables. You want to slice them thin. 2 is making sure you take advantage of the fond, all of those brown bits at the bottom of the pan that we're going to scrape. The deglazing process, getting those fawns lifted up into the broth. Oh snap, I forgot one step. Don't forget that the browning. Get that nice sear on the neck bones up front, seal in that flavor, and do great things. For those of you who've been following me for a while, you know that I like to pair music with food. Every song is an ingredient in a recipe. So for this track, for this recipe, given it's a really soulful, old school recipe, I thought it made sense to kind of have a track that epitomizes that. Bobby Womack is the artist of choice for this one, particularly the song Facts of Life. It's a slow groove, deep soul tempo, but he's giving you like game, like my Uncle Buck used to do back on the porch when we would sit outside and eat those neck bones. So check out the related short or reel for this, where you can see how the song is matched with the video, with the recipe. You can see how they go together. We just kind of create a vibe, through music, through food. It's a whole thing, right? So check it out. Let me know what you think. That's it. Until next week. Peace out. Thanks for vibing with me.